Bonjour, French 1 students. Here is the teaching video for Lesson 1C in your textbook, pages 22 through 25. Again, I ask that you follow along in your textbook. So, on page 22 we have Leçon 1, video scène, c'est Salut, ça va? On the way to school, François meets his friends. Salut, Isabelle. Salut, ça va? Ça va, merci. Salut, Nathalie, ça va? Ça va bien, et toi? Moi aussi. Ça va, Philippe? Ah, no zut, ça va mal. François also meets his teachers. Bonjour, monsieur. Bonjour, François. Bonjour, madame. Bonjour, François. Bonjour, mademoiselle. Bonjour, François. After class, François says goodbye to his teacher and his friends. Au revoir, mademoiselle. Au revoir, François. Au revoir, Nathalie. Au revoir, François. So again, your textbook is introducing you to the vocabulary in this lesson. And what I want you to kind of look at is, are there some differences? Specifically, are there differences in how Francois greets people his own age, so like his friends, versus how he greets adults? Yeah, you should have noticed that when he greeted his friends, he uses salut, salut, okay? So oftentimes with people our own age, we're going to use salut to say hello, which is hi. Versus with all of the adults, he used bonjour. Now, this is going to be a theme that's going to happen over and over in French class. That there will be different ways to address people your own age or younger than you, or members of your family, from the way that you address adults. Okay? And this has to do with showing respect. So with adults, we know that we want to be more respectful. So it's more respectful to use bonjour instead of salut. Okay? With saying goodbye, notice there's no difference, okay? So it's au revoir both times. So that doesn't change. Okay? It's just the difference of salut versus bonjour. So the yellow vocabulary box on the next page tells us about that, right? It says how to greet a friend or classmate versus how to greet a teacher or another adult. S'il vous plaît, répétez salut, salut, bonjour, bonjour. Bonjour, monsieur. Bonjour, monsieur. Bonjour, madame. Bonjour, madame. Bonjour, mademoiselle. Bonjour, mademoiselle. So again, you see here that we're making a difference between, are we talking to a friend or classmate versus an adult? Okay, there are different ways that we do that. And again, this has to do with the fact that we need to be respectful of adults. So this is the way the French people show their respect, by using this more formal bonjour. However, with saying goodbye, there's no difference. S'il vous plaît, répétez au revoir. Au revoir. Au revoir, Philippe. Au revoir, monsieur. So a little arrow bullet here, or bullet, an arrow. In written French, the following abbreviations are commonly used. Monsieur Masson, capital M with a period. Madame Chalot, and Mademoiselle Lacour. So a little note that I have in my textbook is that when used alone, the titles Monsieur, Madame, and Mademoiselle are not capitalized. So kind of like they have them up here. These are not capitalized because they don't have a person's name or anything behind them. Okay, and anytime you use them that way, you shouldn't capitalize them. Again, I'm not going to count it wrong if you do, but just so that you know. Also, with the abbreviations, when an abbreviation includes only the first letter of a word, a period is used. So notice in monsieur, right, there is a period. When an abbreviation consists of the first and last letters of a word, no period is needed. So for madame and mademoiselle, because it's the first letters and the last couple letters, there are no periods in those. And then it also tells us here that young people often use salut to say goodbye to each other. So remember in the first lesson we talked about the fact that French people will walk up and they shake hands when they see each other for the first time. And again, because it's their friend, they're going to say salut as they're shaking that hand. They also, as they leave and they shake hands again, they say salut. So salut is a little bit like the Hawaiian term aloha, where aloha means both hello and goodbye. Salut is used in France as both a hello and a goodbye. So one more time practicing this vocabulary. S'il vous plaît, répétez salut, bonjour, au revoir, monsieur, madame, mademoiselle. So again, monsieur used with all males. Madame is used with married and unmarried adult women. Okay. And then mademoiselle is like the equivalent of miss. So we have our little note culturel about bonjour ou salut. French young people may greet one another with bonjour, but they often prefer the less formal salut. When they meet their teachers, however, they always use bonjour. French young people are generally much more formal with adults than with their friends. This is especially true in their relationships with teachers, whom they treat with respect. Have you noticed that in France, adults are addressed as monsieur, madame, or mademoiselle? The last name is usually not used in greeting people. So what they're saying with this part here is they're kind of saying is, if you ran into me at the grocery store, instead of saying like we do sometimes in English, hi Mrs. K, or hi Mrs. Kremschreider, okay, and we use the adult's last name, in France they wouldn't do that. So in France, if you saw me in the grocery store, you would just say, bonjour, madame. And you wouldn't use my last name. So typically in France, they don't use teachers' last names in greeting them. Okay? Same thing would be true if you ran into Mr. Dorr in the grocery store. You would just say bonjour, monsieur. Okay? Instead of saying his last name. All right, so we're going to do a little practice. Bonjour ou salut. Okay? You are enrolled in a French school. Greet your friends and teachers. So you'll notice here we have actually two examples, right? Because we have two of these little arrows. And so they're giving us two examples here. Now, the deal here is you have to decide, should I use bonjour or should I use salut to greet these people? Now, how do you know? Well, in this first example, we know that we should use salut because they give us the person's first name. If they give us the person's first name, they're one of our friends, and so we're going to use salut. In the second example, they use bonjour because, again, they give us an adult. And we know this is an adult because we see monsieur, madame, or mademoiselle. And notice they don't use the adult's last name. So for this first example, it's salut Valérie, and for the second example, it's bonjour mademoiselle. So, would you right now decide what you would say for number 1? You should say salut Céline. Number 2, please say that one out loud. Bonjour monsieur, because it's an adult. Number 3. Salut Nathalie. Number 4. Salut, Marc. Number 5. Number 5 should be bonjour, madame. And number 6, bonjour, mademoiselle. So again, we see this difference in how we greet people our own age versus adults. All right, another yellow box with some vocabulary. How to ask people how they feel. So we see the question for how are you, and then kind of the answer. And ça va is kind of a funny thing because not only is it in our question, but it's in our answer as well. So if we just say ça va all by itself, it means we're fine. If we want to say that we are very good, we use ça va très bien. If we want to say we're good, it's bien. If we want to say we're so-so, it's comme ci, comme ça. Mal is bad. And très mal is very bad. And again, your textbook is pretty consistent with the faces it uses so that you know what response they would like. So we're going to go ahead and practice saying these. We'll start with the question. S'il vous plaît, répétez ça va? Ça va? Ça va. Ça va. Ça va très bien. Ça va très bien. Ça va bien. Ça va bien. Ça va comme ci, comme ça. Ça va comme ci, comme ça. Ça va mal. Ça va mal. Ça va très mal. Ça va très mal. So this allows you to answer and respond. Now, one thing about ça va is that this is really not used with adults or teachers by students. It's too informal. All right, how to express one's feelings of frustration and appreciation. S'il vous plaît, répétez zoot. Zoot. Zoot, ça va mal. Merci. Merci. Ça va, merci. So down here at this arrow, ça va is an informal greeting that corresponds to the following expressions. So another way to ask how are you is comment vas-tu, and that you can use when you're talking to a friend. With an adult, you're going to use comment allez-vous. So, s'il vous plaît, répétez comment vas-tu. Comment vas-tu? Bonjour, Paul. Comment vas-tu? Comment allez-vous? Comment allez-vous? Bonjour, madame. Comment allez-vous? So again, your textbook is kind of starting to introduce you to these differences in the way we address people in French. There's a way that we use when we're talking to people our own age, people who are younger than us, members of our family. This tends to be referred to as the informal or familiar. And then there's a way that we address people we don't know well, strangers, people when we first meet them. This tends to be called the formal. And so what we've seen so far is that we have salut for saying hello to our friends, and we say bonjour instead with people that we don't know, like our teachers and other adults. We see that to ask how are you, it's ça va. Okay, so we can use ça va to ask our friends, people who are younger than us, members of our family, how they are. You also have the choice. You could always also ask people how they are with como va-tu. Again, that still would be used with members of your family and such, and your classmates. When we want to ask an adult or a stranger or somebody that we're first meeting and we don't know how they are, we have to use como allez-vous. And again, we're going to see this over and over in French, this difference between the informal and familiar versus the formal. So we'll practice these one more time. S'il vous plaît, répétez salut, salut, ça va, ça va, comment vas-tu, comment vas-tu, bonjour, bonjour, comment allez-vous, comment allez-vous. All right, so we have another exercise here, and we're going to practice some of this. So, situation, sometimes we feel good and sometimes we don't. How would you respond in the following situations? You have the flu. So if somebody asks you ça va when you have the flu, you're probably going to answer ça va mal. So all of these answers are going to start with ça va. And then you're going to choose one of these responses here. Okay? So ça va, and then one of those 5 choices. So I'm going to ask you the question, and you're going to give the answer each time. So number 1, you just received an A. Ça va? Probably would say ça va bien. For number 2, how would you answer the question ça va? Probably ça va mal. Number 3, how would you answer the question if your uncle gave you $5? Probably ça va bien or ça va comme ci, comme ça. Number 4, how would you answer the question ça va if your grandparents sent you a check for $100? Probably ça va bien or ça va très bien. Number 5, how would you answer the question ça va when you have bent the front wheel of your bicycle? Probably ça va mal. Number 6, how would you answer that ça va question if your parents bought you a new video game? Probably ça va bien. Number 7, how would you answer that question if your little brother broke your cell phone? Probably ça va très mal. Number 8, how would you answer that question if it's your birthday? Probably ça va bien. Number 9, how would you answer the question ça va if you have a headache? Probably ça va mal. Number 10, how would you answer the question ça va if you just had an argument with your best friend? Probably ça va très bien. And number 11, how would you answer the question ça va if your French teacher has just canceled a quiz? This French teacher won't ever do that, but in the event it happens, probably ça va bien or ça va très bien. Exercise 4. Ça va? How would the following people answer the question ça va? So this is just like the last one. You're still going to start your answers with ça va and one of those 5 choices. So in picture number 1, the girl has gotten a love letter, so it's probably going to be ça va très bien. Number 2, the girl looks like she's pretty happy to be on the roller coaster, so probably ça va bien. Number 3, someone has just won the Olympics, the gold medal, probably ça va très bien. Number 4, you've broken your arm, Probably ça va mal. Number 5, you have a flat tire. Probably ça va très mal. And number 6, you're in the middle of the hot desert, fully clothed. Probably ça va très mal. All right, so the numbers from 20 to 60, before we do that, let's review, okay? So go ahead and repeat after me the numbers from 0 to 20. S'il vous plaît, répétez 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So, those are the numbers you've learned so far. Hopefully you've been practicing them. So, what we see for 20 through actually 69, it's the same pattern as it is in English. So in English, right, we would say 24, 36, etc. Right? So we use the special word for 20 or 30 or 40 or 50. And then we reuse the numbers for 1 through 9. And the French do exactly the same. So again, we have special words for 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60, and then we're reusing the numbers for 1 through 9. Now do notice one little difference, right? In English we don't say 20 and 1, but in French they put that and in there on the ones only. So 24 in French would be van, and then the number for 4, cat. The number for 36 would be trente, which is the number for 30, and then the number for 6, six. So, what I'd like to do is have you count. We're going to go from 20 to 60. I'll have you repeat after me. Again, this will give you a chance to practice. Again, it might be handy to have your number sheet out and in front of you so that you can be looking at it to help you remember how to say these numbers. So, s'il vous plaît, répétez 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 60, 60. S'il vous plaît, répétez 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Again, the nice thing about this being a video is that you could replay this portion a few times and continue practicing saying the numbers. Remember, you also do need to know how to spell them. So do spend some time learning how to spell all of the numbers as well. So we're going to do this exercise. Siri, read the following number series out loud. So I'll give you a moment to say it, and then I'll tell you what it is so that you can check. All right? So again, we're going to kind of go across here, and then we'll go down to this row. Okay, so this is first, that'll be second. So go ahead and get started. 13, 13, 21, 37, 42, 55, 60. On to the second row. 16, 20, 29, 31, 48, 56. All right, prononciation, les consonnes finales, final consonants. In French, the last consonant of a word is often not pronounced. Remember, a final S is usually silent. S'il vous plaît, répétez. Toi, français, anglais. Exception, the following final consonants are usually pronounced. A C, F, L, and sometimes an R. Répétez. Eric, Daniel Leboeuf, Pascal, Victor. Most other final consonants are usually silent. S'il vous plaît, répétez. Richard, Albert, Robert, Salut, Américain, Canadien, bien, de. However, the ending ER is usually pronounced as an A. S'il vous plaît, répétez. Roger, Olivier. So your homework is page 25, exercises 3 and 5. For exercise 3, we did this one out loud, and you don't need to write the question ça va every time, you just need to write your answer. So remember, all of your answers are going to start with ça va, and then again, you're either going to have très bien, bien, comme ci, comme ça, mal, or très mal. So you're going to write that out for the 11 of these. Exercise 5, you're going to type out so that you learn to start to practice spelling these numbers. So you're going to write out the numbers. So again, you'd write 13, okay, and write out the word for the numbers in French. Again, your option, your choice on homework, whether you're going to handwrite it out and take a picture to upload for the assignment in Google Classroom, or whether you're going to use a Google Doc and just type up your homework. Either way, accent marks are important and you have to make sure that you're including them. Au revoir, à demain.